Yo, what is going on everybody? My name's Si and welcome to the channel. If you've clicked on today's video, then obviously you want to find out about settings for Warzone. Today I'm going to go over controller, audio, graphics, interface, everything that you could need for PC controller gameplay, because I'm sick of seeing different videos for different things. People posting controller settings and whatnot. It gets confusing. So here you have it all in one video. If you enjoy, please do think about pressing that like and subscribe button, as it is massively appreciated, and we're on the way to 200 subs, so please do help me get to that goal. And yeah, hope you take something away from this video that you haven't seen before, and I hope it improves your game. Enjoy. So to start with, we're going to start with the graphics, and the first thing we go to is display. So you have two options here, display and quality. Go to display. First one we look at is display mode. Now this you want to have either in full screen borderless or full screen. I wouldn't have it in Windows because it decreases FPS. To get the best FPS, use full screen. But if you're like me, you record, or you just like to use another monitor on the side, then make sure you're using full screen borderless, because this game has a few glitches if you go in full screen then try alt tab out with it. I don't know why, it just freezes the game. But yeah, run full screen borderless. I've not found it to make a difference. You can pick and choose between one. But as I say, if you switch it a lot, then stick with full screen borderless. Obviously, display monitor, make sure that is on whichever monitor that you want it on. For me, it's my main monitor. And then display adapter, that is your graphics card. Obviously, there'll only be one option here if you've only got one graphics card. If you haven't, make sure you're using the one you want. For me, it's 2070 Super. This will lock the screen. My screen refresh is locked because of selecting my display monitor. And then my render resolution, you want it at 100, you don't want it any more, any less. And then that should lock the display resolution. Obviously just make sure that if this is unlocked, make sure it's no higher or no less than what your monitor is capable of. So whether it's 1080p, 2K or 4K, make sure it's set to whatever your monitor is that you're using. Dynamic resolution, make sure this is disabled, and obviously with that being disabled, that completely cancels out this frame rate target, so just leave that at 60. Aspect ratio, again, make sure it's automatic. You don't want the game being forced to do things that it shouldn't be doing, otherwise you're just going to get screen tear, you're going to get lag, and you're going to get crappy FPS because it's trying to push too many things at once. VSync, you do not need this on. Disable that, because it limits the frame rate to match your monitor's refresh rate, and to be honest, I found that it causes more problems on than it does with it off, so just turn that off. Frame rate, for ease, I always use this on unlimited, but you can change it to custom, and if you press advanced down the bottom, it says gameplay custom, menu custom, and out of focus. Now if you set this to 300, which is what you should be doing, then it basically gives you unlimited frame rate. Technically, you're never really going to reach 300. I think I reach max 130 while playing and recording, but yeah, it gives you that opportunity. And then menu frame rate, you can lower this to 30 if you really want to, if you want to just use less VRAM and less sort of GPU and stuff. Save it for other applications in the menus, because you're only making loadouts and looking at menus. I mean, it's in the name, so you can lower that, but again, for ease, I literally just leave it at unlimited, and yeah, it locks them all off. So collapse that. Brightness, this is personal preference. Don't go any lower than 50 because this game is quite dark as it is at base. But if you're not using a colorblind setting like I am, which I'll show you in a minute, I'll show you in the interface section, then make sure this is around 52, 53 I found best, but I use it on 55 and I use it in conjunction with a colorblind setting that I'll show you in a minute. So yeah, bear that in mind, and that is just personal preference, but I found 55 to be the best. Display gamma, leave that at 2.2, that you don't need to touch, unless it's already set at 2.4, then just leave it at whatever the game's set it at. That'll be best. You only want it on 2.4 if you're using the TV. Mainly, or yeah, just make sure it's on 2.2 for your monitor. Video highlights, you do not want that on. That is going to use a lot of VRAM, a lot of memory, and just it's going to use just a hell of a lot, just take up a lot of FPS that you can be using for the game. And if you're going to record, then like me, most people use Streamlabs. NVIDIA Reflex Low Latency. As you can see here, there is different options, but I always use enabled. The only other option that I will try use here is enabled boost, but it depends on your CPU and GPU. All depends what you've got. Basically draws more power from your GPU as well on plus boost. But I've not found it to make a difference for me. Not found it to make a difference to the game. So use either or, but I would say enabled. Give enabled boost a try. If it feels better, sweet as, use it. But yeah, enabled is a safe bet. And that's it for display. If you hop over to the top here and go over to quality, just press apply on there. First thing you come to, field of view. Again, personal preference. I'd go anywhere from 100 to 120 on PC, especially when playing with a control. If your accuracy isn't too good, then probably 100. Closer to 100 is better because your targets become a lot bigger, see a lot more of your target. Whereas if you pop it down to 100, or pop it up, should I say, to 120, then them targets do become a lot smaller, and your aim is going to be a bit off. But you can get used to it after a while, and as I say, practice makes perfect. So give it a go on 120 because I absolutely love it. I don't use anything else now. And then as for field of view, if you just press the little collapse down button, ADS field of view, make sure that's unaffected because you want to be seeing most of the screen while you're still aimed down sight, so you can see who's trying to run up on you while you're playing. So yeah, use affected. And then camera movement. This is a big deal. Now, I never used to change this, but least 50%, use it. Change it to least 50%. People say it doesn't make a difference, but it does. When you have airstrikes coming in, your screen isn't shaking around all the time. And, well, it is a bit, obviously, because that's just part of the game, but it does remove a lot of camera shake, and it makes a big difference in the long run. A lot of camera shake is removed by this. So, yeah, try at least 50%, see what you think, and, yeah, give it a go. It's definitely worth it. And now we go on to details and texture, and this is where you really can gain FPS. So, streaming quality, just bang it on low. If you're not streaming, you don't need that. I mean, sometimes for recording and stuff, you might need it on higher, but I never do, and I don't think any other YouTubers mainly do. So just bang that on low, get rid of that, get it out of the way. Texture resolution, now this is things like maps or pictures and stuff that are around the map, any sort of decoration on the tables and little bits and bobs on tables and stuff, basically, as you can see in the pictures. I have this on normal because I'm barely using any VRAM at the moment. My VRAM usage is just above halfway, and you can see if I turn it higher, this VRAM goes higher down here. Turn it down, it drops again. Turn it to low, it drops again. Turn it to very low, and it drops again. So I use normal, but if you've got a bit of a more budget-friendly PC, then just stick it on low. It's not going to make much of a difference, and you probably won't even notice it while you're running around shooting people anyway. And if you do have time to look at it, then you're probably going to get killed anyway. So, yeah, stick it on low. Now, the next two, particle quality and texture filter. People assume that these use VRAM, but if you watch when I change it, nothing happens. Change both of them to low, nothing happens. So just bang them both on high. Makes the game look a lot more pretty. Just makes it look a lot nicer to play. Bang them on high, it makes no difference. Bullet impacts, again, makes no difference. Bang that on whatever you want. I always have it disabled. I just don't like the look of it. I like the cleanness of the game. And yeah. But personal preference again, as I say. You can enable it or disable it. I disable it. Tessellation. It's amount of scene geometry. I haven't found this to make a massive difference. So I just disable it. Because it does decrease FPS as well. Because obviously it's less loading that the game has to do. Dismemberment and gore effects, I always disable this just because I feel that if there's blood splatting everywhere, body parts flying, if I'm aimed down sight, shoot somebody who's close to me, I can't see people behind me. That's always my theory behind it. Whether that'll happen or not, I don't know, but I just disable it because that doesn't bother me. Gore effects, some people might like it, you never know. Anyway, on-demand texture streaming, disable that, you don't need it. Yeah, you just don't need that. And obviously the advanced bit, you don't need to change anything because you've disabled it. One thing I will mention as well while we're here: restart shaders installation. Don't click it. Don't click it. Only click this if you have a problem with a game, you can't find out why in the settings, you have no idea why something's playing up or your FPS is dropping or anything with these settings. Restart the shaders, because 9 times out of 10 it will be the shader installation that's playing up, and this will solve 90% of the problems. So yeah, just bear that in mind, keep that in mind. Filmic Strength, now you can play around a bit with this if you're using anti-aliasing or if you're changing anti-aliasing, but for most people I would say either SMAA 1X or T2X for monitors, and keep Filmic Strength on 1. But if you're using anti-aliasing off, I can't remember what setting off the top of my head changes it, then you need it at 0 to make it look better. But yeah, for this instance, keep it at 1, SMAA 1X, and you'll be just fine. NVIDIA DLS, don't need it, turn it off. I mean, you can put it on quality or performance, but again, it changes these Filmic Strength settings that you need to use. I'm not going to go into detail with that because I'm not too sure about that. I just leave it at this because this is what worked best for me. So yeah, depth of field disabled. Again, going to affect your FPS and also just going to affect your overall gameplay, look of the game. World motion blur, again, going to affect gameplay, and weapon motion blur. Just disable all 3 of them and you'll be just fine. The game looks so much better, and when you're turning fast you don't get that really weird blur that just looks horrible, I think. Shadow map resolution, I've never found this to make a difference. It is literally just quality of the shadows. Bang it on low because it does use VRAM, as you can see. And yeah, just bang that on low, you don't really need that. One thing to mention here, cache spot shadow and cache sun shadows, leave them enabled because this basically puts them in a cache, all the shadows, keeps them there, and just stops the game rendering them every single time you load in, and just makes the game so much smoother. Make sure that's enabled because some people think it affects VRAM or FPS, it really doesn't. Just leave them enabled and you'll do just fine. Particle lighting, put that on low, you don't need it. Again, it's going to increase your FPS. It looks good either way, so, and it's not very rare. It's very rare that you have explosions like that unless you're using thermites. But yeah, turn that off. Now ray tracing, do not enable this. My game decided to enable this at some point last week, and my FPS dropped from about 125, 130 to about 90, and then sometimes it was dropping to about 70 with ray tracing on because I didn't know it had switched it on. So that's another thing to mention as well. Be careful with these settings because some reason Call of Duty likes changing my settings back. Yeah, no idea why, but yeah, just keep an eye on that. If something goes wrong, just go through these settings again and check them. But yeah, keep ray tracing off. You don't need it unless you've got a top spec PC. And again, obviously, you're gonna have to it forces that's the one that forces your anti-aliasing to change. But again, don't touch it. You don't need it. Ambient occlusion, you don't need this. Again, it's just more fancy detail. As you can see from the pictures, it makes hardly any difference. I mean, to me, they both look near enough the exact same, apart from a bit more definition around this bit. But yeah, turn it off, you don't need it. And screen space reflection, again, just disable that. And then moving on to interface. Subtitles, I have these disabled. One thing to point out is sometimes when you're near people, they do have prompts for throwing things or for opening doors and stuff. Then you can, basically what they say will come up on your screen, you know someone's near you. Right then, so the Colorblind Target. Now this is what I was on about. I am not even going to try pronounce it because I have no idea what the heck it says. But that is the one I use. This right here is what I use because it looks the best. And honestly, I've only been using this for a week. I will never go back. Put Colorblind Target onto both. Don't ask me why. It just makes it look better. And yeah, you'll be just fine. Tooltips, obviously, that's up to your personal preference. And then this one again, I have changed my horizontal and vertical heads-up display. I'm a bit weird. I have them on 40, which brings them in really close to the screen, really close to the center, really, or a bit closer anyway. It's just so I don't have to glance so far from my, if I'm looking down sight or anything, or my gun, I don't have to glance too far up to the top left to see my mini-map. And again, it's just little advantages like that, you know, you can win your gunfights and stuff like that. And then going on to mini-map, we've got the square shape mini-map. That's the one you want. You don't want circle, because as you can see, it blocks out this whole corner here. If you're popping UAVs, buying UAVs, you want to be seeing more of the mini-map. So yeah, just make sure you're using it, because as you can see this whole corner all here, whereas here you literally can't see it, and someone could easily be hid here, here and here. So yeah, you get the gist. Make sure it's square. Enable minimap rotation, just helps you see whereabouts you're going. Show compass, don't know why you would have that off unless you're trying to do a hardcore challenge. That could be pretty fun actually. Compass, I use letters, kill duration 10 seconds. None, and then also close the buy station on purchases. That I always have that enabled, because if you buy something and then you got someone after you, you want that menu down and you want to be back into the game. You don't have to be pressing circle to get back out of it. So yeah, just change that, makes a bit of a difference. And then again, I'll let you look at these text chat things. I'm not going to go through them all because I don't use them, but you can have a little look. And then these are just systems. I haven't played around with any of this apart from I've put on these, enabled these, and that's what is showing in this top left hand corner here, the GPU FPS. But the rest I haven't touched, and yeah, just have a quick look at them, pause it if need be. And then going on to audio, midnight mode. Oh my days, what a difference this makes. Boost or boost low or boost high is probably some of the best options that people tell you to go with, because it depends what headset you've got. You just have to play around with it on your own a little bit. But honestly, I got told to move to midnight mode and I've never looked back since. Go to midnight mode, increase your master volume to about 80, 75, something like that, or even have it at 100. That it depends on your headset again, whether you like to control it with your headset. I like to control it with the game, and footsteps become so much clearer, so much better. Just give it a go. Trust me, give it a go, and yeah, thank me later, because it does make a difference. Music volume, I have that on 0. Dialogue volume, again, sometimes you can hear prompts from other characters, so I have that on 50. Effects volume on 100, things like grenades and stuff like that. You want to be hearing them, where they're coming from. Cinematic volume 50, it's just for campaign, so I don't really use it, just leave it there. I have the Juggernaut music because I like it. Hit marker MW, mono audio, I have it disabled. I haven't played around with any of this. This is just my default system device headset. And yeah, again, voice chat I barely use, so I have it push to talk just on V keyboard. Default settings, again, all default settings, so yeah. And then going over to my controller, because I do actually play with controller. I can't touch on keyboard and mouse in this because I don't use it. I'm no good with a mouse, absolutely flop. But that's because I used to play PS3 and PS4, so before I got this, so I just stayed with controller because I like it. Anyway, I play with default flipped because I don't have a scuff controller. I do have the PlayStation back buttons for that, but yeah, I don't have a scuff controller, so instead of losing that, instead of having that latency between me pressing the button and then it firing, I just use the top buttons, and I can't ever see myself going back because I absolutely love using them. So yeah, if you haven't got a scuff controller, then either use bumper jumper or use tactical. They are probably some of the best ones that you can go with if you haven't got the back buttons. But them back buttons on PlayStation are really good. They're I think got for about 20 quid, 15 quid off of Amazon, so check them out if you want to. By the way, there's no sponsorship in that. They are just really good for them, really cheap. Anyway, all this is default apart from dead zone. Make sure you test your controller and find out it's dead zone. Mine was 0.05, which most of them are. Most of them are around this, so I'd go to this straight away, or go to 0.06, and then if it stays still in the middle when you're just like aiming, not moving, or if it starts drifting, you know you need to higher it up. So just play around with that and find your dead zone, because that is very, very worthwhile. And then these ones just want on max value. Sensitivity, again, personal preference. I use 7, used to play on 6, but increased to 7. I won't go any higher than that. Might go to 8 sometimes, but again, it affects my aim, so I don't bother with that. And now, custom sensitivity per zoom. I have my 4 times, 3 times, 2 times, and low zoom all on 0.90 because I just feel like it gives me a bit more precise aiming with my controller. Whereas mouse, you've got a bit more precision. On controller, you're left with a stick, and sometimes it can get a bit hairy, hence the need for aim assist. And but that's another topic. We ain't going to go into that one. You can rant about that in the comments. I ain't going into that one. Anyway, 0.90 for them 4. It'll just help you massively. You can even lower that to 0.8. But yeah, and then as I say, I use dynamic aim response curve. This does make a bit of a difference. Some people use standard, but definitely try dynamic because it did take a bit getting used to, but my aim has been so much better since I used dynamic. And then I have controller vibration off because I just feel like it hinders my aim. You can have it on if you want a bit more of immersive feel, but again, just have it off. Standard for aim assist, and then all of this I haven't really played around with, apart from, again, they're just hold, hold, hold. Apart from contextual tap, you want that on contextual tap for picking up items off the floor, because it's just a bit better than having to hold things all the time and whatnot. It just gets a little bit hairy. So yeah, just put it on contextual tap. Honestly, you'll thank me later. And then weapon switch, enable this as well, because if you run out of ammo in one gun, automatically switches to the next and you can carry on firing. Such a big life changer and a lifesaver in Call of Duty. Make sure this is enabled because it makes no difference to your normal gameplay until you run out of ammo in a mag. When you're trying to still fire, it just swaps and then you have a different gun with bullets in it, so it makes a big difference. And armor plate behavior, I've just apply all because it's just easier when you're running around. You can just apply them all instead of having to press triangle, taking your thumb off the analog stick and stuff like that. So yeah, apply all, make your game so much better. Obviously slide behavior on tap, disabled, tactical sprint, double tap, and then I also use automatic tactical sprint. Some people say it shouldn't be in the game, some people like it. I absolutely love it. So it improves your game, I think, especially when using a controller and stuff. It's just so much easier. Get around the map faster, slide cancel, all them saucy things. So yeah, give it a go if you haven't already. It takes a bit of getting used to, but definitely one that's worthwhile. And anyway, all of these haven't changed apart from, I know I have changed auto deploy. I disabled that because I wanted to get closer to the ground. Just gives you a bit of an advantage if you're in like a situation where there's a lot of people around you. You can get closer to the gun, pop the parachute before you get. But just don't forget to deploy it because I do that sometimes. And yeah, it don't look pretty, don't look good. But yeah, anyway, that's all the settings. So I hope there's something in there for you to change and to improve your FPS. And yeah, hope you carry on enjoying Warzone. Hope this helped. If it did, please think about pressing that like and subscribe button as we are nearing 200 as I mentioned at the start. And it would be a massive help if you do. And also, if you want to check out some other content, I won't hold you against that. But if you do want to, then yeah, I'd much appreciate it. So again, thanks for watching and hope to catch you in another video. Peace.